So yes, good afternoon ज्योति जी एंड काफी इंटरेस्टिंग लग रहा है मार्केट्स। अभी ऐसा लग रहा है कि काफी अभी अटक चुका है, मुझे ऐसा लग
जी
रहा है। सुबह काफी स्विंग्स देखने को मिली थी बट अभी भी सेशंस काफी वॉलेटाइल ही लग रहे हैं।
जी
सो ये एक डिफरेंट पर्सपेक्टिव से भी जान के लेते हैं एंड लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड कि अगर हमें कोई डिफरेंट डेटा पॉइंट्स देखने हो तो व्हाट आर दोस डेटा पॉइंट्स जो हमारे गेस्ट देख रहे हैं। So I would also like to invite Kapil Agarwal, sir. He's a SEBI registered research analyst and the founder of investkaps. He has 18 plus years of experience in the Indian stock markets and IIT Delhi, IIM Lucknow, and ESCP Europe graduate. He focuses on systematic research-based trading and investing. He has also worked in key roles at major banks and HFT firms. So good afternoon, sir, and welcome to our show.
गुड आफ्टरनून सर।
Thank you very much for having me.
So yes sir, I'll come straight to the point. Nifty bank Nifty को देख के आपके क्या व्यू बन रहा है and what are the levels that you're looking out for?
Yeah, so I think everybody would agree, and like you mentioned, market has been very volatile and tricky, and it has been very difficult to take a call on which side to take a bet on, because I mean the events which it is coinciding with are so sort of higher sigma category that it's not easy to
Correct.
commit on any of the sides, because if you go wrong, the chances of loss is huge. But anyways, let me sort of put in my view. I'll start with a sort of medium term, putting a medium term perspective to where probably we might stand. And
Okay.
when I say medium term perspective, let's say 6 to 9 months, maybe remaining of this year. So, so one very interesting data point I would like to show is, if you look back at the fall in Nifty, which we had from October 21 to around, I think, June 22, right? So October 21 high of roughly 18,600 and June 22 low of around 15,183. It was a
Okay.
correction of approximately 18% over 6 to 8 months, right? Now, in this entire bull phase which we have had from March 20, if you compare that correction with the ongoing one, you see that in terms of price correction, it broadly we stand at a similar level, and roughly plus minus 2 months here and there, right? And
Correct.
if you coincide it with the news flow which has been there, particularly the panic which was there in April around the tariff wars, I think that kind of panic was almost, people were immediately pitching for 19,000, 20,000 kind of levels, right?
Right,
And
right.
entire globalization and economic wars, trade wars were being talked about. So given that perspective, the bottom which was made in 21743 around 7th of April, I think that holds a very relevant sort of importance here. And where I see is that it may not be likely to be breached in medium term, at least. Given that perspective, so I have a bullish bias. And if you see now, Nifty and a lot of other indexes, while some of the broader market indexes and small cap are lagging behind, Nifty has spent quite some time over 200 DMA already.
Right.
And
Right,
interestingly, last week we have also had a crossover of 50 DMA above 200 DMA, right?
Right, sir.
Then yesterday, while again there were concerns about the war, the escalation, uh, today we have seen that despite that event actually taking place late night, and while we are talking about markets, let's hope that it does not go too sort of down, south, and
Right.
the loss of people and property. So,
Yes.
so market has been resilient today. I mean, all the indexes have, while opened at quite low levels in panic, have recovered, right? So this shows
Right.
that it is not ready to fall down.
Right,
So,
right, exactly.
so I hold a medium term view of have a bullish bias irrespective of all the negative news. In fact, negative news flow actually might be helping the market to climb a wall of worry. Okay.
Right.
So now coming to the short term, uh, uh, two interesting data points is last 10 days we have seen it's been very range bound within 400 to 500 points. And
Correct.
that is also seen in the options data. If you look at the entire May option chain data,
Mm-hmm.
The highest put buildup is at 24,000, and the highest call buildup is around, I think, 24,500, right?
Right.
So this
Okay.
is a range we are sort of sticking to, and at some point, probably sooner than later, now that we have already spent quite some time, it is likely
Mm-hmm.
to sort of break on the upside.
Right.
So I will stick to that positive bias. Of course, I mean, anybody who is sort of taking that positive position will do well to hedge himself for any huge downsides. So
Okay. Okay, sir. Okay, perfect. So that is what you're seeing, a bit on the bullish end. That is what we are trying to say. And
yes.
currently, the market is range bound. That is what sir is trying to suggest. And yes, overall bias is still going to be on the bull end, and we might see some price correction happening before the trend begins for Nifty again. Sir, I would also like to ask you is your view on Bank Nifty as well, because Bank Nifty, a couple of weeks ago, it had given its all-time high, and we were all expecting that it's going to go beyond, but it was not successfully able to break those levels. And we have seen a rejection there, and since then it has been falling down. What are your views on Bank Nifty as well?
No, even if you see Bank Nifty, I think yesterday's fall and now that recovery which we have seen today,
Hmm.
it has again shown resilience, and it has not sort of very convincingly breached the earlier lows. I mean, after breaching them, it made a new time high, but it seems to be still more like a profit booking, and which, as I said, given my overall view on Nifty and the broader markets, I feel that Bank Nifty also is likely to sustain this upside. This can also be actually coincided with the fact that if you see two or three topmost banks, ICICI, HDFCs, Kotak,
Yes, sir.
uh, Kotak and Kotak and HDFC in particular have sort of given a breakout along with Bank Nifty giving a new high, and ICICI has been in continuous bull run giving good results. So
Correct.
so somewhere if most of the uh, top 3 4 banks are supporting the index, it is very unlikely that it should see a major fall despite all the concerns around it.
So, sir, in terms of level, what can be certain important levels which can act as a support and resistance in Bank Nifty in
So,
short term?
yeah, so in short term, I will say, I mean, yesterday's low
Okay.
should can be watched out for. In fact, if any long position at all somebody wants to take, he can keep yesterday's low as the stop loss and play for a probably a one is to two kind of a risk reward.
Okay, okay, perfect, perfect. So, sir, this is what we are looking in Bank Nifty as well. Sir, is there any specific sector that you would like to highlight that we should keep a radar on this particular sector?
No, I mean Bank Nifty and in fact financial services sector entirely. So you can add Fin Nifty index to this same thing.
Okay,
A lot of stocks within those index are actually giving a good breakout after a long
right.
consolidation. So
Okay,
while I will not probably recommend any buy or sell here, but if you see, let's say, Bajaj Twins, some of the banks I have
okay,
talked about. So
okay,
so actually in such a market where larger market will somewhere keep seeing corrections and some volatile movement with negative news flows, the breakout stocks and the momentum stocks can actually be a good strategy to play, right? And
right.
if we are looking at a positive uh, uh, bias of, in fact, within this financial year, I'll stick my neck out and say that we might actually see, Nifty retesting the September 24 highs. Uh,
Right.
Right.
so, uh, so yeah, I mean, giving that view, momentum breakout stocks can be a decent bet in the cash position, I'll suggest.
Okay, okay, okay. Sir, I also had a question to you. Since we're talking about indexes, sir, what is the view on the Strangle and Straddle index for today? That means if we go and if we have to sell, or there is a fall in the premiums as well. So, do
Hmm.
you think this is an ideal condition where people can strategize their categories according to those
Yeah,
strategies?
so straddle could be one. I mean, see, but actually, what is happening in particularly last 3 to 6 months, we have seen even during the entire correction in Nifty. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
between September to sort of April, the
Right,
volatility has largely remained low. Uh, for some reason, they have been sort of suppressed between 14 to 16% largely, and they haven't shot up, right? So straddle in that backdrop can be a slightly risky bet in terms of theta bleeding out. Uh,
Right.
if somebody sort of has a positive bias, probably a bull put spread kind of a strategy can be considered. I mean, selling a higher strike put and probably buying a lower strike put to sort of cover yourself for a very Six Sigma kind of a event. I mean,
Right.
given
Right.
the war times, of course, you never know. I mean, the retaliation from Pakistan or where it goes.
Right.
So of
Right.
course,
Right. Right.
that kind of a downside needs to be hedged for committing any bull side. So
Perfect,
yeah.
perfect, perfect. Yes, sir. So yes, actually, my second question was on that as well. So, sir,
Hmm.
since there are a lot of geopolitical tensions going on right now, first was the tariffs, now the war is coming up. That is what everyone is talking all about. So, what do you think can it actually impact our economy on a greater end, or are we going to just absorb this news and move on with that?
See, I mean, ultimately, the exact turn of events nobody knows. I mean, wars have happened. 2 years back, we had a Middle East sort of escalations where suddenly Israel, Lebanon, and Hamas seem to sort of go all the way. But
Right,
if you see, even around those news, market has a different way of reacting. In fact, most of the time, such news actually sends the sentiments at such a low level that it ends up coinciding with the bottom or actually supporting the rallies, because sentiment is so bearish that, and when market does not fall down, so a lot of short covering or sharp upside movements can happen. So tariff wars in April, and our low of 21743, and now this news. So unless very unforeseen sort of events happen, I think it may not escalate too much. Thank you. So, yeah.
okay, okay,
So,
perfect.
sir, any stocks which you want to add from your end, in which we can capture a very good momentum on either side?
Yeah, so some of these names I mentioned, I mean the banking and the sort of FinNifty names, so they can be kept on watch, and I mean any breakout on them could be a tradable opportunity.
Okay. Okay, sir. Perfect. Perfect. So, I get the perspective here that you're trying to say, indexes, currently we shouldn't immediately trade. We should just wait, watch, and, try to gauge the range. And then is when we should execute our strategies. And we should be hedged in this market. That is what is the suggestion. Sir, and one final question to you. Is there any data pointers that our viewers should take into consideration before entering into this volatile market?
Yeah, so I mean, like range which I mentioned, it ultimately is likely to break at some point, and given the call and put build up on either sides, so any range breakout will lead to a huge, I mean, short covering in the short term. So
Mm-hmm.
24,500 and 24,000 are the two levels. Any break on the upside or downside can be sort of actually a level where one can commit in that direction, right? So that is something people should be watching out for. If at all there is a larger correction, then I think given the medium term view which I have, 200 DMA is an important level. I don't see that breaking easily now. And uh, on the upside, in fact, 24,500 also coincides with, if you see, the 61.8% correction of the entire fall from
Okay.
September 24 to April. So
Right.
I think it's somewhere around 550 or 560. So that's an important level. I think if that breaks out, certainly a long position is worth taking.
Okay, okay, perfect. So yes, I think, sir, that's really great, and you've already defined a lot of levels for us, and you've given some ranges that our viewers should keep under their radar and watch out for those levels, because those are very important key levels where you might see the indexes moving or giving some sharp turns. And yes, so thank you so much. And so before going, I'll just like to ask you any disclaimers from your end.
No, so whatever stock names I have taken, there's no buy or sell recommendation here. I have shared the market views, my bias on this. So
Mm-hmm.
viewers should accordingly sort of have their discretion and judgmental sort of call on this.
Okay, okay. So, thank you so much, sir. It was really nice to have you here. It was a quite intense discussion about the indexes, and quite deeply we have analyzed those levels with you. And thank you so much. And Really glad to have you here and hope that we see you more often on our show.
Thank you, sir.
Sure, my pleasure. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
sir.
Thanks.
Yes, sir. Thank you.